A child without boundaries is like a ship without a compass. It moves, but it never reaches safe harbor. And we, as parents, must be the lighthouses that guide them with love and firmness through the waves of life. Today, we're going to talk about something absolutely essential in parenting: the importance of setting boundaries for our children, and equally important, teaching them to set their own. I'm going to share with you the 5 most effective techniques for establishing healthy, firm, and loving boundaries. Because loving our children doesn't mean giving them everything they want. It means giving them what they need to grow up secure, balanced, and truly free on the inside. It breaks my heart to see how behavioral problems in children are increasing every day. Kids struggling to manage their emotions, to relate to others, to concentrate. But what's even more heartbreaking is seeing parents who don't realize they're contributing to the problem. Parents who, with the best intentions in the world, want to show love but end up creating anxiety. Not because they lack affection, but because of lack of knowledge, exhaustion, and not having clear tools. This is exactly where boundaries, set with love, respect, and consistency, become that lighthouse that's so desperately needed. Why boundaries? Are acts of love, not restriction. Setting. Boundaries for our children isn't about repressing them or clipping their wings. It's about teaching them to fly with direction. We often confuse love with overprotection, with letting them do whatever they want. But true love means looking beyond the immediate moment. It means being capable of weathering a tantrum, an angry look, or an "I hate you" from a small child, knowing that the boundary they don't understand today will become the foundation of their emotional security tomorrow. A child who knows their limits is a child who feels there's an adult containing their world. This is a child who rests, who trusts, who grows with strong roots. Let me tell you something fascinating from neuroscience. Children don't yet have their impulse control system fully developed, what we call the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that makes decisions, evaluates consequences, and allows us to stop before acting, is still under construction throughout childhood. If there isn't an external adult telling the child when to stop, how to handle frustration, or why something can't be done, their nervous system becomes dysregulated. It's like living in a house without walls. There's space, there are beautiful things, but there's no structure. In this case, the child doesn't feel free. They feel overwhelmed. When we set boundaries with clarity and affection, we're collaborating with their brain development, even when they protest. Each of those moments is training their prefrontal cortex. We're lending them external containment while they learn to generate their own internal containment. We're teaching them to wait, to delay gratification, to tolerate that not everything is possible. And this isn't learned through big lectures. It's learned in everyday moments. When we say there are no more cookies today, when we help them turn off the TV, when we hold firm on our no with kindness, we're cultivating what psychologists call self-regulation. A mother once told me a simple but beautiful story. Her 4-year-old son asked for a second helping of dessert. She calmly told him no. He insisted, cried a little, got angry. She hugged him, explained why, and stayed firm. A while later, when she was tucking him into bed, he cuddled up next to her and said, "You know what, Mum? Even when you tell me no, I still love you." She told me. In that moment, I understood that setting boundaries hadn't broken him. It had strengthened him. Children don't thank us for boundaries in the moment, but they feel them as a form of care, as a presence that holds them, even though it might not seem like it. Children actually ask for boundaries through their behavior. When a child challenges, when they insist, when they test limits, deep down, they're asking, "Are you there for me? Can you contain me?" A child without boundaries might seem free, but they're actually lost. Not because they're rebellious, but because they don't have a clear map of how the world works. Without a map, they feel alone and disoriented. Boundaries give them emotional structure, prepare them to tolerate frustration, to relate to others, to understand that there are rules, and that even within those rules, they can be free. The critical missing piece: respecting children's boundaries. Here's something crucial that most parenting advice misses. Talking about boundaries in parenting isn't just about what the adult sets, orders, or guides. It's also about what the child needs to protect, preserve, and express. Setting boundaries isn't enough if we're not capable, as adults, of recognizing and respecting the child's boundaries. When only one person has the power to say enough, the balance breaks. True emotional education is born when the relationship is based on mutual respect, when the adult can say no firmly, but also listen to the child's no without feeling challenged, without imposing themselves, without ignoring what their child is trying to communicate from their small but significant inner world. Respecting a child's boundaries means honoring their process, their body, their emotions, and their individuality. It means understanding that even though they're small, they have the right to feel uncomfortable, to say they don't like something, to prefer to wait, to not want a hug at a given moment, to say, "I don't want to talk right now." This isn't bad manners or disobedience. This is personality, self-awareness, dignity. When we teach children from an early age that their voice matters, that their age-appropriate decisions are valid, we're planting the seed of healthy self-esteem, of a future adult capable of setting healthy boundaries, choosing respectful relationships, and caring for themselves and others. Too many children grow up learning to say yes when they really want to say no, to stay quiet for fear of disappointing, to give in for fear of being rejected. All of this starts when we don't teach them. They have the right to protect their physical space, their time, their emotions. When we force them to give kisses, to smile when they're sad, to participate in something that clearly makes them feel unsafe, we unintentionally teach them to disconnect from themselves, to please others. Although it might seem small, this has a profound impact that often isn't visible until that child grows up. A child whose boundaries have been respected, who has been listened to and validated, is a child who trusts. They trust their feelings, their judgment, their worth. They learn to differentiate between what's good for them and what isn't, between what they want and what pressures them. This is a vital tool for adult life. The adult who knows how to say, "This isn't good for me, this is my limit, I prefer to wait," is an adult who takes care of themselves, who knows themselves, who doesn't give themselves away out of need, but from inner freedom. 5 powerful techniques for loving boundaries. Now that you understand the importance of establishing clear boundaries while respecting our children's boundaries, I want to share 5 powerful techniques that can transform your way of parenting. These techniques will not only help you guide your child's behavior, but will also strengthen the bond between you. Technique 1: emotional anticipation. One of the most valuable tools we have as parents is emotional anticipation. What does this mean? It means emotionally preparing the child for what's going to happen, explaining in advance what they can expect, how they might feel, and what's expected of them in that situation. Children, especially in their early years, live in a very intense present. They don't have the capacity we have to foresee, to mentally organize what's going to happen, or to regulate their emotions when faced with the unexpected. when we anticipate, we help their brain reduce uncertainty and therefore stress. Imagine you're taking your child to the doctor and you know they're getting a vaccination. You can choose not to tell them anything until they're there, thinking it'll be easier if you don't anticipate it. Or you can sit with them beforehand, calmly explain what's going to happen, validating their possible emotions. You might feel a little scared, and it's okay to be scared. It's quick, and I'll be with you the whole time. Afterward, we'll go home, and you can choose a book for us to read together. What seems so simple is actually preparing their nervous system for what's coming. You're telling them, your emotion has a place, and you're not alone in this. Emotional anticipation also has to do with tone, with your gaze, with how you address the child. It's not just about informing, it's about emotionally accompanying them from beforehand. Today we'll go to the park, but later, when I tell you it's time to leave, we're going without protesting, okay? You know we always come back another day. At that moment, you're not just giving information, you're planting an agreement, a shared expectation. When it's time to leave, the child remembers you talked about it. They might protest, yes, but not from chaos, from a space that was already contained. Technique 2, the 3-step rule. A very effective strategy for setting boundaries is what we call the 3-step rule. It's a simple way to guide the child from understanding to action, without resorting to yelling or threats, but from connection and coherence. The goal is to help them regulate, understand what's expected of them, and what will happen if they don't comply. This technique is based on 3 key moments. Warn with clarity, reaffirm with firmness, and act with consequence. Let's imagine an everyday situation. The child is throwing objects during dinner. In the first step, the adult approaches and says calmly, "I remind you that we don't throw things at the table. If you keep doing it, I'll have to take away the toys." Here, there's no empty threat or irrational punishment. There's a clear, concrete warning. The second step comes if the behavior continues. "I'm telling you again, we don't throw things. Next time I'll remove them." The tone is firm but serene. The third step occurs if the child insists. The objects are removed without anger, without violence, with tranquility, fulfilling what was said. The message is, your actions have consequences, and I am consistent. This type of structure gives the child something very important: emotional security. When boundaries are predictable and consistent, the child doesn't feel attacked or confused. They know what to expect. Technique 3, connection language. It's not what we say, but how we say it. The way an adult addresses a child has the power to open or close their heart, to invite them to collaborate or make them resist. Children don't just interpret words. They read tones, perceive intentions, feel whether they're being loved or judged. Connection language is what educates from love without losing firmness. When we set a boundary for a child, the most important thing isn't just the no, but what the child feels while we're saying it. If that no comes accompanied by anger, rejection, or humiliation, the child learns that making mistakes makes them less worthy of love. But if that no comes accompanied by a look that says, "I understand you're frustrated, but I'm here with you," then the child calms down, not out of submission, but because they feel seen and held. Connection language also means listening. It means saying things like, "I see you're very angry. Do you want to tell me what's happening?" Or, "I understand you wanted to keep playing, but now it's time to clean up." Simple phrases, but full of validation. Instead of, I've told you 1,000 times to put on your shoes. Try. I understand you're having fun, but now it's time to get dressed. Do you prefer to do it yourself, or should I help you? This doesn't mean giving in. It means communicating from connection. Technique 4. Natural consequences, not punishments. One of the most common confusions in parenting is believing that educating with boundaries means punishing. It's not like that. Educating isn't punishing. It's accompanying the child so they understand the relationship between their actions and their consequences. When a child experiences the logical consequences of their choices, without humiliation or imposition, a real connection activates in their brain between what they do and what happens. They learn from experience, not from fear. A simple example. If the child doesn't want to put on their coat and it's cold outside, instead of forcing them or scolding them, we can say serenely, "It's okay, go out without your coat, but if you get cold, let me know, and you have it here ready." When they feel the cold, their body registers a lesson much more powerful than any lecture. That's a natural consequence. It's not punishment. It's life speaking. Punishment disconnects. Natural consequences connect. While punishment generates fear, submission, or anger, and often confusion, natural consequences generate learning, reflection, and self-control. Technique 5. Consistency and repetition. In childhood, the child's brain is in full development, constantly absorbing information from the environment like an emotional sponge. But it's not enough to say something once for it to take hold. Children learn through repetition and consistency, not through isolated words or occasional speeches. They need to see a pattern that repeats in the adult, a structure that's maintained, an example that's sustained over time. Every time we act consistently, that is, when what we say and what we do go in the same direction, we're building a solid foundation of internal security in the child. Inconsistency, on the other hand, disorients. If one day we tell them they can't shout, and the next day we raise our voice without explanation, the child receives a confusing message. In that confusion, what's installed isn't learning, but anxiety. Each time we say with calm and firmness, "Now it's time to put things away. Remember that after the bath comes dinner. I told you it wasn't screen time." We're creating an imprint in the child's brain, an imprint that's reinforced, consolidated, and becomes habit. The long-term vision. Educating a child isn't an easy task. There are no magic formulas, linear paths, or perfect decisions, but there is something that makes a powerful difference. The conscious intention to raise from love, respect, and consistency. Every boundary you set with care, every time you choose to connect rather than impose, every moment you breathe before reacting, you're planting something deep in your child's heart. You're teaching them to live. Remember that boundaries aren't walls that stop them, but bridges that guide them. They're lighthouses in the middle of confusion. They're messages that say, "I care for you, I see you, you matter to me." When you also learn to respect the child's boundaries, their body, emotions, rhythm, you're giving them something that will mark their entire life. The certainty that they can be themselves without ceasing to be loved. This builds self-esteem, forges confidence, creates happier children and healthier adults. There will be days when you make mistakes, when you lose patience, when you feel like you don't know how to do it. And that's okay. It's not about being perfect parents, but present parents. Available, real. Every mistake is also an opportunity to grow with yourself. Parenting with boundaries is also a personal journey, a journey toward your own healing, toward your history, toward your most conscious version. Today, I invite you to see each educational act as a seed. You might not see the fruits now, but one day, without realizing it, your child will make a decision, set a healthy boundary, take care of themselves or others, and then you'll understand that everything was worth it. Because educating from love and firmness doesn't just transform the child's life, it transforms entire generations. The most beautiful part about this approach is that when children grow up with loving, consistent boundaries, they become adults who know how to respect themselves and others. They become people who can say yes when they mean yes and no when they mean no. They become emotionally intelligent humans who can navigate life's challenges with confidence and grace. Your consistency today becomes their inner compass tomorrow. Your respect for their boundaries today becomes their self-respect as adults. Your firm but loving guidance today becomes their ability to make healthy choices throughout their lives. This isn't just parenting. This is legacy building. Every interaction, every boundary set with love, every moment of connection is an investment in not just your child's future, but in the future of everyone they'll touch throughout their life. So be patient with yourself as you learn these techniques. Be consistent but compassionate. Remember that the goal isn't perfection. It's connection, growth, and raising humans who know they are loved, valued, and capable of creating positive change in the world.